Good morning, St. Paul's.
Good morning.
It's good to be home. Now, you can't go around bragging around the diocese that this is one of the two churches I call home. Lexington thinks I belong to them because I actually live in Lexington, but we know I come here more often. The only church that has my heart as much as yours is way in Provincetown, and I don't get there too often. So you in Provincetown are the best churches, I believe. You have two of the best priests here, having Rachel and Chris. Amen?
Amen.
It's also good to be here to have as my chaplain, my favorite deacon, don't tell anybody, Bruce Nickerson. And especially as I approach my anniversary this week of being your bishop, I still give thanks always for the man who nominated me, who is sitting here today, right? Howard Weber. You know, I can't remember, it's sort of vague to me at what age I learned this, maybe first or second grade, but you know, every school day started, until I went to college, with the Pledge of Allegiance. You know the words, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You know it, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I used to ask myself, why do we have to do this every day? Wouldn't once a week do it, you know? And I figured out, well, it's to instill pride in us, to move us to love and be devoted to our country, to remember our identity as an American. You know, the word pledge and vows get tossed around a lot. We hear them in politics, we hear them in editorials, we hear them in sports, we hear them in all kinds of places and all kinds of programs and economic situations. We hear the word vow or pledge. That word is from the Old Latin that means, well, to tell you the truth, it's related to the word, what we call Eucharist. It means to pray or to praise. It means to make solemn promises with prayer. That's what that word means. To swear fidelity to an action, to promise consistency and devotion in a dedicated pursuit of service or of life. So the pledge that we've been saying to the flag most of our lives is important. But you know, the flag is just a symbol of who we are. It is not sacred, but it is significant. In my generation, baby boomers, that flag seemed a little tattered with Vietnam. It didn't seem as sacred to black people going through civil rights, still living under Jim Crow in too many places as I was growing up. It seemed tattered from Watergate and Abu Ghraib, and so on with revelations of corruption and greed. For me, I had to find other ways, since I wasn't in school anymore saying the pledge, find other ways to find pride and be grateful and appreciate the good things in this country. For me, singing the Battle Hymn of the Republic moves my heart more than any I pledge allegiance to the flag. The Battle Hymn of the Republic, where it says, God's truth is marching on. And we sing that together, as well as the national anthem, in responses to tragedies and disasters in our land. When we are at our best, we Americans are honest and we value truth. We are generous. We strive against prejudice and injustice. But in the past couple of years, these very principles, these values seem to be under attack. They seem to be guillotined for political expediency, just as we are doing that to immigrants at our border. Notice it's only the southern border that we seem to have a problem with. People whose color is closer to mine, who are fleeing violence. Matter of fact, not only are we turning our back on our own history as a nation of immigrants, we're turning our back on the fact that Jesus himself was an immigrant, a refugee. His family had to flee Herod. And he had to send his people and he himself in lands other than the proper nation Israel, especially Samaria. He was an immigrant, itinerant preacher who knew what violence was. Now, the media is blamed a lot. in this time of turmoil. And I have a problem with that when people seek to bring facts to light and misinformation, exaggeration, outright lies refute the truth. We had a sign up in my office. It was a bag of Cheetos. And underneath it I wrote, alternative carrots. Our morals, our principles are not there for us to have when it's convenient for us. And that pledge and the flag is still meaningful to me. They are not words from the past. They're not misty from the past. But you know, there's another pledge, another set of vows that are more profound and more important than adherence to any political party or nation or position. It's more important than my allegiance to the America that I love and the flag that I also hold as important. There is no equal to these vows. They are truly sacred. And we say them several times a year, and we're going to say them again today. The sacred vows that we say are the baptismal covenant, our vows to live as God's people. We are citizens, most of us here, of this country, but the baptism vows that we are about to renew make us citizens of the kingdom of God, involves us in a life of transformation as we open ourselves to the love and the grace of God. We are celebrating Jesus' baptism today, and we get to renew our own, and we get to start over. Wipe the slate clean. We get to start over today. In a sense, we're re-embracing what our presiding Bishop Michael Curry has called the Jesus movement. You've heard that, right? A lot. You'll see the bumper sticker on my car. Jesus, Lord. Michael wrote, he is one of my best friends, so excuse me if I say Jesus. No, Michael Curry has written, God came among us in the person of Jesus of Nazareth to show us the way. He came to show us the way to life, the way to love. He came to show us the way beyond what often can be the nightmares of our own devising and into the dream of God's intending. That is why Jesus called his first followers, and he did it with simple words, follow me. Follow me, he said, and I will make you fish for people. Follow me, and love I will show you, and how to become more than you had ever dreamed you could be. Follow me, and I will help you change the world from the nightmare it often is into the dream that God intends. Jesus came and started a movement, and we are the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement. And he said, now it is our time to go into the world to share the good news of God in Jesus Christ, to go into the world and to help others be agents and instruments of God's reconciliation, to go into the world and let the world know that there is a God who loves us, a God who will not let us go, and that love can set us all free. This, says Michael Curry, this is the Jesus movement. And we are the Episcopal Church, the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement in this world. That's what our baptism tells us to do, to go and be Jesus today. Pastor Manning Leapshire of Redding, California, also points us to moving on and moving for Jesus. He wrote, ultimately, we want people to encounter God, to fall madly in love with Jesus, to grow within community and in their relationship with the Lord, and then go impact the world. For Jesus, baptism was yet another beginning of a risk-filled journey he had in life. It meant he was allowing God to be in control, just as his mother Mary did when she was called to carry the Christ Church, just the Christ child, just as the Holy Family were called to trust in God and to follow when they were at risk by Herod. Allowing God to be in control means that we can face those things that are wrong with us, the demons among us, the violence among us, and even be betrayed. We can face those things because God is with us. Today, in renewing our baptism, we promise to widen the circle of our faith, to open wide the doors of the church, but of our hearts too. We are disciples. We are servants of the Jesus who calls us to move out. So we will promise to continue in the apostles' teaching and fellowship, which means to be regular at worship, to persevere in resisting evil, ever turning towards God, to proclaim by word, and this is the hard part for Episcopalians, to talk about our faith.
It's very quiet.
Yeah, Quiet don't work right now. To proclaim by word, and I will stop there too when we do these vows, and example, the good news of God in Jesus Christ, the good news of God's love for us all. We are to seek and serve all persons, knowing that Christ is in them, and loving them as Christ loves us all. We are called to strive for justice and peace among one another. And that doesn't mean reward and punishment, but God's justice is about reconciliation. To respect the dignity of everyone, and that includes this creation that God gave us, this earth, our island home. You and I always encounter people who are different from us, and often we encounter those who are most different from us. And sometimes we feel comfortable with that, and sometimes we're uncomfortable with that. But see, that's not why the church exists. To make us comfortable? No. To enshrine traditions? No. Or our desires? Or to keep the status quo? No. We are not to limit our ministry and fellowship to those whom we know, but learn to risk, to embrace ourselves, to expand ourselves by being with others, to learn as well as to share. And I am so pleased that this parish will participate in the pilot diocesan endowment process, which will help you to do that even more. Have any of you read Annie Dillard's books? You know about her, the great Southern author. In her book, Holy, the Firm, she points to the movement of Jesus, and she says it begins here in worship. She wrote, "Straw hats with velvet ribbons are inappropriate dress for worship. We should all be wearing crash helmets. Ushers should issue life preservers and signal flares. We should be so excited," she says, "that we should be lashed down to our pews." As baptized persons of all ages, she says, we should always approach our worship with a sense of expectation, awe, and wonder. When we come to worship, we should be prepared, she says, to meet God, as well as be the person through whom others might meet God in such a way that their lives are changed. Episcopalians? Do we do that?
We can do it.
We can do it. Baptism for Jesus changed and transformed his life from being a simple peasant to that of a life lived in radical obedience to God. Baptism represented a total turning point for him. His life was now open to God's rule, no matter what. Now, you and I may not have the experience of the heavens being torn apart when we witness, let alone when we were baptized, when we witness others being baptized. Yet, God enters our lives when we witness a baptism and when we renew our baptismal vows. God is trying to tear open the fiber of our being. Sometimes for some people it's a dramatic moment of turning. For others it is a gradual awareness that God is demanding my total obedience, my total allegiance. Like light sockets, when a light becomes dim or goes out, we need our bulbs to be changed. You know that old joke about the Episcopal Church, right? How many Episcopalians does it take to change a light bulb? Change that light bulb. My grandmother gave that light bulb. So ushers, vestry, altar guild, choir, acolytes, priests. Do you have your crash helmets ready? Well, you're clergy. Did you hear him? He said, what about deacons? You're clergy. Priests, okay, clergy, priests, and deacons, and lay people. Okay. Did everybody get it now? Do you have your crash helmets ready? Do you have signal flares? Are you ready to be lashed down because you're so excited about God? Are you ready to fall madly in love with God through Jesus Christ? Are you ready to lead and help the people encounter God who are around you, those you know and those you do not know? Michael Curry said, we must do this for our own selves and for that of the gospel. He wrote again, now it is time to go into the world to share the good news of God and Jesus Christ, to go into the world and let the world know that there is a God who loves us, a God who will not let us go, and that love can set us all free. This is the Jesus movement, and we are the Episcopal Church, the Episcopal branch of the Jesus movement in this world.